Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and it is certainly great to see you again. And it is time for another break. This time, however, this one has some pretty more major ramifications. So I'm going to turn the other light on for now because here's what I want you guys to understand. You know how I'm talking about how I want 2026 to be sort of like the last year I talk about Chris and stuff like that, and it's kind of actually going to shape up to be a little bit of an end of an era for me as well, because not only am I going to stop talking about Chris, what I'm going to do for this channel is I'm going to do a bit of a major rethink. I want to turn this channel into something I absolutely have wanted to talk and do videos about for years, and that's essentially, well, that's as much as I'm willing to disclose about that for now. In the meantime, here's what we're actually going to do. I am going to go on break until the beginning of January. But I'm going to just share with you guys a bit of information about what I'm going to be up to in the meantime. Now, for the last couple of months, outside of preparing videos to continue our schedule as pretty much exactly the same as before, what I've also been up to is making videos for next year as well. In fact, by my calculations, for the amount of videos I've already had made, thumbnails, or the lot, I've got enough videos. If I just stop making videos now, I could make enough videos to get me to February. But it's not necessarily taking a break just so I can get things ready for 2026 is where I'm concerned. Not just for this channel, but for my other channels as well. But it's also about reserving time to dedicate myself to this new channel direction I want to do, because it is a very, very different direction. But it also might have something to do with a little bit about not just changes to how I make videos, but also changes in my personal life, because you're never going to believe what's happened. Because starting on the 10th, I am starting a near 2-month long course to be to be a qualified railway engineer. And yes, by the way, it wasn't something that I honestly could have ever predicted. Because think about it, guys, this entire channel, it's sort of meant to be a little bit railway themed. And, well, it's talking about locales with a railway motif to it. And now might be working on the tracks. Wrap your heads around that one. I did not predict that whatsoever. It just sort of happened. Now, the reason, again, why I have to go out of my way to prepare so many videos in advance is that if all goes off without a hitch, I could be working nearly 12 hours a day on the tracks. The pay is very, very competitive. It's very, very good. It's very, very attractive, especially when the Christmas time rolls around again. And it also might even give me the opportunities to actually work abroad, because I low-key have always wanted to work in Australia. I really, really do. But think about it like this, guys. If they're programmed, because the idea is that sometimes people get paid double during the Christmas seasons. But think about it this way. Australia, they have pretty much their Christmas in December. And in Christmas in December. Wow, that's... What I'm trying to say is that the climate, it is going to be nearly 45 degrees in the shade. So imagine how good that would be. Work all the way through Christmas in Australia, come back to the UK in April. There you are. What more do you, what more do you want out of me? You know what I mean? That's a terrific idea. I'm sure it probably has occurred to a lot of people, but you never know. Maybe I don't know what the railway trade is like currently in Australia, but you never know, guys. You never know. Oh, that's funny when you think about it. Also, among many other things, I have to improve my physical well-being as well, because it's a very, very manual labor job, is working on the tracks. And just to give you a bit of a rundown, when I was in the induction for like all the other guys who were looking to sign up, there was about 16 of us in total, and it says quite a lot about how bad I probably stand out when I am the smallest guy standing there. And when I say small, we're talking 5'5.5", 14 stone, 12.5 pounds, and that's the lightest out of all these guys. And at least 4 of the guys that are working there are ex-servicemen, people who've been in the army. Actually, they were really nice. Actually, to be honest, they were probably the nicest of them all. The ex-service guys, and well, but then of course, if ever there was a time to also get my priorities laid out, it's probably now, because, well, the instructor specifically, I call him. I'm going to just refer to him here from this point onwards as the instructor for the sake of brevity. But this guy, who, he's not even in his 30s. He worked for 13 years, literally came out of school at 16, no qualifications, worked on the rails. This dude is it's almost, with his determination and mentality, he could almost describe it as like a license to print money if you want to work hard. And when I say work hard, this guy, the instructor, he could have been a PT instructor for as far as I'm concerned, because he was literally the single biggest brick shithouse I've ever seen in my life. This guy is massive. I mean, let me put it to you like this, guys. If I watch, you see my elbows? He was about that wide at my elbows. And in terms of height, he's at least an entire foot taller than me. And there weren't even really that many guys who were looking to sign up who weren't especially as any taller than me. But anyway, one thing I really liked about the instructor, almost instantaneously, no BS. He was very straight talking, very, very straight to the point. And even when I had to disclose with him privately about my shoulder injury, and he even said that's a very fine scar that I have, and how the hell did that happen? I talked to him about it. He then asked me about what my dexterity was like, how much it affected since I had it when I was 13. And he also talked about how, he said he wanted to just describe to me exactly how you use a shovel and how exactly you would use an X-clipper. And I just did all the demonstrations. I told him exactly how I did it. And we'll certainly try it out. There was no guarantee or anything like that, because 12 hours and, again, heavy manual labor, if I was working in the pits or anything like that, I imagine they'd probably say, well, how bad is it going to be? Which is why I'm also spending quite a lot more time going to the gym, specifically in weightlifting, because I need to know exactly what my own strength is. Something that, to be honest, I've struggled with for for many years of my life. I feel like I've struggled with actually determining what is my actual strength, if you see what I mean. And finally, there's one more thing I wanted to share with you guys. It's currently the 1st of November. There are only 29 more days to go in this month, and I'm going to share you guys a bit of a secret. I'll probably make a video about this at the very end of November on St. Andrew's Day, but I'm just going to share you guys a little secret. So come a little closer, guys. Come a little closer. For reasons that will become very, very clear, November is the single most important month of the year, in my opinion, because of exactly what happened 10 years ago. And 10 years ago is a long time, and actually, to be honest, my story, if you will, from 10 years ago, I've wanted to share my stories and stuff. And I've shared stories about when I was in school and stuff like that before. I've shared stories about the entire time when I was in year 9 and how I thought I was literally going to pieces, because every single thing that could go wrong, that you could possibly imagine, went wrong. And I even talked about how utterly heartbreaking it was to when I was in year 11 and I had to go through well, my GCSEs, because it was one of the absolute hardest and, to be honest, one of the most pseudo unrewarding. It was just painful and miserable. But in terms of what happened when I was doing my A levels, that is a very different story. Not just because of what was going on inside of school, but because of what was going on outside of it. But that's a story for another day. In the meantime, that is just, I wanted to share you guys a little bit of, and don't get me wrong, guys, this video was actually quite hard to make because I didn't really know exactly how I was going to phrase a lot of it. But if there's one thing that I've kind of come to appreciate, is that there is a great deal of strength in being short and to the point. Short, to the point, and powerful. So, with all that being said, I hope you guys appreciate the news. I apologize if it comes off as a little bit abrupt. However, I wanted you guys to know that it seems as I can't really put it any other way than that. I wanted you guys to know because, well, if it seems like I'm gone for a while, I didn't want people to get worried. In the meantime, I'll see you guys in January. Thank you.